Hey everybody, welcome to episode 131 of the Bonehead Podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Jingle. Welcome back. I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood Tithe Ben. You're on the other side because of the camera.
Oh, is it mirrored?
That is upsetting. Normally I think I'm mirrored. Oh, this is weird.
Oh yeah, you're the right way around. Yeah.
Anyway, hello Ben.
Hello.
Extra points for the Christmas sweater on the go.
Thank you. You did provide this to me many years ago, and it's the Blood Tithe Christmas sweater, which I enjoy.
Makes a lot of sense.
I did pick up an orc one recently as well, but got to bust out the corn. So
yeah, definitely. And we're also joined by TO Extraordinaire, 3D Printing and Blood Bowl 3 correspondent, Ian, triple power, triple O. Ian needs no Christmas attire because his room is the inside of a Christmas tree. If you ever saw a faraway tree as a child, Ian lives in the Christmas version of it.
We are definitely fully Christmas themed with the lights tonight.
Have you got the Christmas tree up in?
Christmas
house.
tree is up, yeah.
I was going to say, speaking of festive rooms, I like where you are, Ben. Is it the first time?
Oh, yeah.
from the-
This is the first time from the studio. The studio is not finished. Let me just bounce over to the big camera. So it's the Christmas episode. So we're filming this a little bit before Christmas. So I'm hoping to have done a video for the Patreons before this goes live, even on the Patreon feed. But been doing some more work on the studio.
Oh my god!
And
Look at that.
We've got some significant lighting on the go. Definitely, that's all Trips' fault. So still lots of work to do, but give it a little tour of the studio.
Oh my! You can do the full 360. Look at that.
Yeah. I need to hide the cable, obviously. This is the door. There was a gap above it. It is now mostly sealed, which helps massively with the heat. Then over here we're going to have the L-shaped desk that I've got actually upstairs in the office at the moment. So more Kallax units. I have to finish off the wall here, but I've been finishing the ceiling today so I can put camera mounts there, which is pretty cool. And then we'll do the whole sweep all the way around to the other side, where we've got a big desk, and I think if we zoom in you can see both my kitchen and my pride and joy, the concrete mixer. So that's
I don't think that's too visible. Concrete mix was not what I was thinking of. I'm just like, was it going to be living room, Christmas tree? I don't know. No concrete mix.
I think you can probably see the Christmas tree. But this is the kind of hobby desk that's set up. We've got the big wall there, which will be the backfill, and then the desks are all a bit squiffy at the moment because I'm here. But this is the pitch I'm working on.
Oh god, that's so good.
That's the pitch. And then what we'll have is we'll have two desks here. Three desks there, and it will go the full kit and caboodle here with chairs either side, which is how we had it set up before. But we are getting there with the studio, which is cool. It's kind of the race against the baby, because as we're recording at the moment, the baby's not here, but I'm hoping by the time this has gone out, she will be. Although
that's terrifying.
Yeah.
She might not be though, because of the due date and like how long it can go. Like this was a horrifying prospect that my boss checked in with me today. He was like, "Oh, off then for the end of this week, Ben." I was like, "Well, I don't know." Like, he was like, "What do you mean you don't know?" I was like, "Well, I'm not allowed to go off until she turns up, so I might just be working next week." He was like, "Have you got anything to do?" I was like, "Well, yes." And he was like, "Oh, well, okay."
Yeah. Always answer yes to that question quickly.
Well, that's what it sounds. I've always got stuff to do, but I have handed over most things. And he was like, "Okay, well, don't over pressure yourself trying to find work." But all right, I was like, "Oh, cheers, guy." Like, I'll be doing this.
Yeah, and a ceiling to finish.
Yes, I do have a ceiling to finish. Although, let me see. I did get some work on the camera rigging today, actually. How do we zoom out? We go left, we go right. It's my Packers helmet there. I got this working today. You can see my beautifully drilled hole there.
It's okay. I can't judge.
Yeah, no, I didn't cut that. I just got the biggest drill I could inject. So the
Nice.
USB cable goes through, and a shelf bracket, and that is where the overhead camera will go. Got the dice cam there already, and yeah, so I played with that today, which was pretty good. Got to the point where I'm happy.
Sorry, it just reminds me as well. Like I guess we're talking about hobby, but it reminds me of my my improv arm that I'm working on.
Ah! I love that you just
We're both-
randomly messaged us as well, and you're like, "Yeah, I built this with stuff and millibucks."
Yeah. We're both doing a bit ghetto camera setups at the moment, which is quite cool. But I want to have something more permanent, but I don't want to buy an expensive camera yet. I don't stream enough to justify that right now. But yeah, I like to have something set up so I can just turn it on. And I found this old arm that had a light attached to it. Ripped the light out because it's broken. I had this old phone mount which was broken, but this bit works. So this can go on the end, and to get it to fit, I got some milliput and a paintbrush, which I snapped off. So I've got this end here, which fits right into the end there. And then this attaches onto there. And I actually have an articulated ball joint.
So does
And-
that hold the camera?
Yes, and this holds the camera for phone, for vertical filming, if it's like for Instagram or something. And then for horizontal filming, I have an L-shaped one.
Oh.
Also chuck in there. And I have a ball and socket joint on that as well. So yeah, there you go. And it holds it firmly.
That is fantastic.
I'm so proud.
You should be. And always they say that necessity is the mother of invention, or something like
yeah.
that. But I
Exactly.
it's,
Yeah, the proper MacGyvering that is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like the Richard Dean Harris gif that went into the chat with that one, Trips. But like when you get into photography, when you get into photography, when you see how product photography is done, or if you've got a friend who's a photographer and you go to a shoot, like in any way, shape, or form, it is like literally everything is jury rigged in every possible way. It's just like, it's baffling. One of our friends did photography at college, university, one of them, and I remember going and helping out with some shoots, and I was just like, this is the least professional thing I've ever seen. Like, there are just bits of wood taped together to get the right height. I was like, what is this? Like, I expected to see, like, you know, equipment, and they were like, no, we don't have the funds for equipment at the university that teaches photography, so we just have to find things and make it work. I was like, oh, okay. And then literally, like, but Ben, when we started doing stuff, you were like, yeah, I've taped this to the top of my camera mount to make the microphone holder or something. I was like, do you know what? That is exactly how it works.
Works. Yeah. It's brilliant.
It's
Yours
fun.
looks a little bit more professionally done, I've got to say. But
It blooming
Yeah.
does not, like,
you have bars.
the bars
have
are
actu-
important.
yeah.
The bars are important, I think. And that is, well, to be fair, this one's jury rigged. You can't see it. But that's just one small pole inside the big pole with tape. Because
Nice.
I ran out of, I just didn't want to buy an extra pole, to be honest. And that's
Sorry, you run out of pole. We've all been there.
Yeah. Shower curtains. You can see my terrible joint at the top there as well, which is terrible. But hopefully none of that will be visible. That's my laptop. That's that. And that's the camera angle I'm going with today. So yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. It's been fun playing out here this
It's
afternoon.
exciting.
The thing I haven't got sorted yet is the audio. Because we were talking about mic, like getting boom mics and everything, and well, to be honest, until the rails were up, I was like, I've got nothing to attach it to. Like, we don't really have any lighting in here yet. I've just got those. Well, Ben, you're familiar with the USB panel
the
panel
classic.
lights.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got one facing up there, one facing at me here. The up these are amazing. Like, they look like the whole room. However, like, it's just not. I have no idea how to light it properly. But nah, once it's lighting and microphone, I've got even less idea, which is upsetting because I'm starting to get renowned for poor audio quality because everything.
Oh, if only we had an audiophile in the group, though, who would probably have an uber amount of fun doing it.
Ben, come round and optimize the audio set. Come on.
I'll give it a go. I'm an audiophile if I can play with the tech, but I don't want to buy it myself.
I don't mind buying stuff. I just every time we bought stuff, it's just mostly been bad. And even like the time we got the wireless mics, and they were a good few £100, and I was like, oh, this will be good enough. It was bad. And I had to go back to wired ones, which I can't find anymore.
Yeah, we'll work it out. Suggestions in chat as well, because we're all pretty new to it. So
Yes.
yeah,
Please help.
yeah.
Anyway, other than studio nonsense, what are we talking about on the Christmas episode?
Just our Christmas wish list. What we're going to be wanting from Blood Bowl, and also like personally for hobby, not just like what we want for Christmas, but what we want to get out of it for next year, and what we want to get out of Blood Bowl next year.
And I guess we should say that Milton is not here, and we'll let you come up with a fun story as to why, and put it in Discord. I think that would make a nice Christmas session. A Christmas Milton conspiracy would be absolutely magic.
Yeah.
Right, we've actually got a little bit of Blood Bowl news, so let's bounce into that, and then onwards and upwards. Okay, not a huge amount of Blood Bowl news, but they did reveal... I've lost the mouse. Where's the mouse? That's on my screen. I need the mouse to be on this screen somewhere. There we go. There we go. High tech. Released a new star player, or at least previewed a new star player. This is Skitter Stab Stab is returning. And yeah. First things first, before we jump into the fact that I think one of the top comments on the video was, oh good, Skaven and Underworld needed some help. Skitter Stab Stab, a star player gutter runner, well, a star player Skaven assassin, to be fair. Deathmaster Snitch on the pitch, which is pretty cool. First things first, what do you guys think of the model?
I think it's cool. I think possibly Milton said, or it could have been a comment that said it doesn't scream star player like some of the others do. But I think that's kind of the point. He is an assassin, you know. If he's there and like being too big and loud and proud, not really very assassin-y. But I think he's cool. I think he's very like unique looking.
He's a nice dynamic pose for sure. He definitely got that down. And I think that comment's right. He doesn't jump out and scream star player, but the assassin models are all big cloak, sneaking around, sharp, pointy thing.
I do love that all the assassin models have got giant Batman coats on. It's like, subtle. It's the person dressed as the blanket. They're the one trying to kill you.
The two massive knives.
Yeah, it doesn't really work. I think it's cool. I like the model. I like what they're doing. I love that they brought him back. Now, this is the difficult thing for me, is I am outrageously biased when it comes to Skaven star players. So I love it. More gutter runners is more better. I like that he's got knives. I like that he's stabby. This makes me nervous. Where's my finger? The ankle, the single point.
They really love doing this with star players, don't they? And like big guys, like all the Forge-Old models, it's like 1 foot only.
I think it's
1 foot.
Just the ankle. Like just the ankle is the only point that's kind of keeping it alive, which makes me a little bit nervous. But I mean, like you said, Ben, they always do it.
Sorry, is it an ogre chest plate he's jumping off of?
Yeah, it is an ogre gut plate.
Oh, that's cool.
Bounding off a discarded ogre gut plate, brandishing his twin knives. His cloak is stitched with tons of little blades billowing out. Yeah, well, that's cool. You know, that is very Batman. Okay, so Ratman himself. I think they had a bit of cost reveal as well, didn't they, Trips?
I think 150 GP and movement 9 and edge 2+ as well. I think so. Yay for everyone who doesn't like Skaven.
Ooh, all right, let's dive into it. Let's dive into it. So Hackflem has been shadow banned, I think, is how I kind of talked about it on the video. Because you know, you got the Megastar tax. Most tournaments are taxing the heck out of Hackflem, and it's not. I mean, he's very, very, very good. I think it's more of a fun tax than anything else, right? We're just bored of seeing him all of the time. That's weird. So introducing a cheaper scoring threat. I mean, I'm assuming 150k that this guy is strength 2, which makes him a little bit less egregious, right?
Hmm. But I don't think the strength was the weakness. Or, like, it was really not really a problem, was it? Like, it was the fact that he is movement 9 and the agility. Yeah, it was like I think Hackflem wasn't as much of a problem on Skaven teams because you already have the gutters.
Yes.
It was quite specifically, I think, Underworld and other teams that could take him. And like Chaos Dwarf or whatever. So this isn't really much of a difference because Ad 1+ is kind of the same as 2+ in the grand scheme of things, right?
He's gonna come with dodge. He's gonna be Edge 2+. He's gonna be movement 9. It's just that. And I mean, the thing is, like, the best thing here is that someone was like, and I thought you would appreciate this, Trips. They were like, ooh, Norse, 1150 with a standard Norse team and a gutter runner.
Yeah. Well, I think with the price of the him at 150 gold pieces, I think you will find a lot of teams and a lot of different builds you can get him in without it being a star and his buddies. It will be a good team with a interesting star.
It's like the price of a big guy.
Yeah.
Instead of taking an unreliable big guy, you can take a scorer.
That's literally the case. Like, Norse is a great example, or Chaos is a great example. It's like, what do you want? Do you want a Minotaur? Or do you want a gutter runner? And when it comes to tournaments, the fact that he's going to be soaking up your SPP really means nothing. The fact that he's going to get murdered really means nothing. I think it's very, very, very powerful. And I don't think it's possible to overstate that right now, because he's just a cheaper version of Hackflem. He's not, like you said, Ben, he's not 1+, and he's not strength 3. We're assuming he's going to be strength 2, which is better and easier to defend against. He's a toned down version of Hackflem, but at 2/3 of the price, and it is interesting. But I mean, with the regions rules, like with the keywords, there's not really anything they can do. What can they do? They can bring in interesting stars, but there's so many teams that have got so much access, there's always going to be a broken combo. So it's really tough, because like goblins, as we've seen from the winning percentage, need some help. This, a cheaper version of a scoring threat, is really interesting, because they can afford him and then 80Ks. They can afford him and Bomber and Fungus.
Yeah,
and the bribe.
Yeah, I think it's possibly a bit problematic. Do you think he's going to be immediately megastarred?
I don't think he'll be immediately megastarred by Games Workshop. They're still waiting for Cindy to be megastarred.
Yeah, true. That's really true. Yeah, interesting.
I think we'll see him a lot at tournaments in 3 or 4 months. I mean, admittedly, he's got to actually be officially released yet. And with GW stock levels and star players coming out, this could be like the ultimate long tease for here is a stabby gutter runner, which you can see in October.
Is it I think the Tree Man might hold the longest record for that.
Yeah, that was infamous, wasn't it?
Like the Kroxagore took the longest to come out, but they didn't show the model off.
Yeah, I think the Tree Man was in 2 Christmas previews for the week. It felt like.
It's a tough one. So anyway, big fan of extra model, and it's really well done. And Ben, I don't know if you've been noticing, but like all the Forge World painting,
it's great,
has been really good, because the Blood Bowl models for a little while, the paint jobs were not great, right?
No.
But now they every single one of these stars, and we're getting them at a good clip, are real good.
Yeah, these are like heavy metal jobs, like that. Those triangles on the coat, loincloth, whatever, and the coat, really good.
I hadn't even considered that. So in the way of star player news, Trips, Blood Bowl 3 had a little bit of an update, didn't they? Including another stabby star.
Yeah. So we've got, today is season 3 day 2. So by the time this comes out, everyone will be well into having seen the new faction, which is Undead. But yeah, a new star has come along with Blood Bowl 3. Hawken Heartripper, who is a 170k Dark Elf Assassin.
Oh, that's right. When yes, of course. Now he's live, we can see his stats and skills and everything, can't we?
Oh yeah.
So he's movement 7, strength 3, edge 2+, passing 4+, and armor 8+, with the same skills that he had before. So that's dodge, stab, mighty, multiple block,
Yep.
and leap.
Shadowing?
Of course. Pardon?
Shadowing as well?
And shadowing as well, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the elf, the dark elf assassin skill set. So movement 7, dodger, with edge 2+, wonderful, really useful. Multiple block and stab. It's going to be useful. I mean, the good thing here is that 170k, and this is assuming that the stats and stuff don't change between Blood Bowl 3 and Tabletop, which we have seen already, because Squid Face has one worse agility on Blood Bowl 3. Baffling. Absolutely baffling, that one. But I think 170k, you get a star player that's actually not like an omni threat, but if you can stab stuff, you can stab stuff. You've got a good opportunity at stab blitz. You've got a good opportunity at double stab on the open up. And then worst case scenario, you've just got a dodge assassin.
With Lee.
With Lee. Yeah.
He's going to be an interesting star from a defensive point of view, because you really will be able to move him around the board and potentially then chase things down with shadowing or hold them in place. So there's potential for that to be an interesting Dark Elf Assassin, which is not something you say much, as the Dark Elf Assassin is very rarely seen.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he just available to Elven Kingdoms?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. It's always such an annoying price point. 170k for elves only. It's just like, you never get that. Especially against the teams where you'd want stab. You never get that.
Yeah, you really only going to get that when you're like a witch elf and a blitzer down. At which point you're probably going, I don't really want this happen.
And if you're down, you're probably playing against like orcs or like chaos or something like that. And like, again, if you want to play Skaven and Underworld, this would be great. Like a multiple block stabber against those teams, awesome. But yeah, never going to be lower TV or 170k below a Skaven team, I imagine.
No. The only thing I can think of is being, 1100 TV against a 1400 league team, 1300 league team. And in those matchups, it's highly likely you're just going to want to take a traveling apothecary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you've got some semblance of a team at the end of it.
Yeah. The thing I really like, and you said it in your video, Ben, was the best thing about this is you play a team that stick some chaff on the line, and you're receiving the ball, and you go, yes, I shall stick my multi-stabbing guy on the line of scrimmage. I can get 2 stabs. Nothing can go wrong. Literally nothing can go wrong.
Yeah.
And then I'll work out what to do with the rest of the 10 players I've got.
But that's what makes me think that this guy's going to be seen way more in tournaments than actually in league.
Yeah.
I like him. I think he's a cool design. I think it's just great. It's not egregious. It's a flavorful pick. But in league, I don't think he's giving you anything you don't really already have. I think Glorial is a better pick in league, or Asperon Thorn if you're playing Blood Bowl 3. It's just, the guy's awesome.
Yeah.
But Glorial for 150, if you want to take a player, she gives you premier thrower. So you get a thing. In tourneys, though, I mean, it was a sandball. I took Snotlings and I ended up playing against Dark Elves, and the guy was running 2 assassins, and I was like, wow, you're running assassins? And he was like, well, everyone's running Underworld and Snotlings, and that's just premier. Like I just stab stuff because yeah. And he was bang on the money.
Stab a Snotling than block it. So.
Exactly, that's what he was like. Well, all I have to do is roll a 6 and It's
Yeah,
wicked.
none of this sidestep crap.
No,
Yeah.
it was clever. So I can see him being useful. There's a bit of a meta chaser, which is interesting. Although I think Ivan is going to be great for destroying this guy here. Ivan the Animal Death Shroud. He's also landed on Blood Bowl 3, and he's just awesome. He's been great for my vampires, and I think we saw him at Bonehead Bowl as well in a couple of rosters, and he's just a tank.
Yeah.
He's brilliant.
Strength 4, block and tackle. You don't need anything else, and he's moving 6 as well. So it's not like he's lazy. So it's like it's perfect for hunting Hackflem. It's perfect for hunting Stabby Boy.
Yeah.
I really like it. So we also saw a Grim Ironjaw and Bryce the Slice Cambuel. Now, Grim Ironjaw and Stabby McGee for Dark Elves have got one very important skill in concert, don't they? They've got multiple block, which I think, Trips, according to the read-up, is the last skill left to be implemented in Blood Bowl 3.
It's the last skill left to be implemented, although I did try and have a Stabby multi-block today, and Stab does not appear to be working. So multiple block appears to be working, but Stab is not working. So
At least they're consistently unreliable, right?
hopefully it'll be just a quick patch and sort it out. We had some interesting issues at the start of season 2 after a patch when like weather was on a 1d6 for 3 or 4 days, and
What?
yeah, which meant you basically, I think I played 3 games in a row and I got
It's 50-50 to not have a bad weather.
Oh no, that's
if you
quite
have one?
fun. That's quite
What
fun.
happens if you get one?
It's not quite fun when you play 3 games in a row and nearly all of your players get heat exhaustion.
Actually, that's very, very, very fair. Okay, Ben, how much would you bet that NACOM designed the Games Workshop stock system?
Oh my god, yeah. What is it with Legions Imperialis? Poor Craig couldn't get it. He's been waiting on it for a while, and then it just got like an email today being like, "No, you're not going to get it at all."
Due to an IT issue, there's no stock left. You're not getting Legions. Whoa!
I don't know what's going on there. That's really bad.
It is
Like not even like we're reprinting some. You will have it soon. Not even that. It's just no. We've run out. Sorry.
And we are very sad for Craig, but there is an very important lesson that we should all learn from this. If you're making a pre-order, order it from Entoyment, because if you get an order agreed with from Entoyment, you will get your stock fulfilled.
That is something very good about Entoyment. I think the Outpost had an issue, and I think the difficult thing is that where Craig ordered it from, it's only a small shop. It's not like they got 5 copies, but they sold 10. I think they just didn't get 5 copies.
I think they just didn't get any of their stock that they ordered,
which is pretty troubling at the moment. But I mean, I'm not sold on Legions Imperialis anyway, so I think he might have dodged a bullet there.
Yeah.
The timing of it, for me, I think I dodged a bullet as well, because I probably if this had come out mere weeks after they showed it off, I think I would have been £200 poorer. But it kind of 6 years later, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm fine. Which I kind of dodged that bullet as well. But I mean, what was it you were saying before we started recording, Trips, about surprise Games Workshop pre-order announcements for the end of the year?
It was this time last week we did the podcast. I was all excited to order the new Munda book at the weekend. Sat down, ready to do it at Entoyment new website, all up and loaded. Just thought I'll just check the preview and just read through what's in it. And they subtly changed the Sunday preview and added in some dates of this is on the preview next week and this is on preview the week after. And then we've seen it again this week where the preview is previewing all pre-orders over the next 2 weeks, and things to come out both for the 16th and the 23rd. So there's definite stock issues going on with the system.
Is it the Kill Team one?
Yes.
It's really tough because the promo pictures for the Kill Team look really good, but I'm not not. When they show the kit like this, it just looks like it looks like It looks like a LucasArts video game level.
It does.
Yeah.
Like the Jedi fighting one from like
Yeah.
PS2.
Yeah, it's like, oh yes, of course there are square platforms here. Like I believe this. Yeah.
To me, that looks like
Oh, that's so
why
accurate.
boxes of Munda terrain and what I should use that for. Because I do not need to repeat that.
Well, it was because they dropped a little like they. I tell you what, their thumbnail game is on point in Games Workshop land. The Warcom team are just wonderful. I mean, look at that. That is lovely. Look at that. That is lovely. Like the shots they get with the terrain are brilliant. And then yeah, it's like, oh yeah, it looks like the kind of game. Do you know? It looks like the kind of game you get at WH Smith's or you know, kind of like Woolworths. That's like £16.50, and it's called Marine Space Game. And you're like, oh, cool. And you buy it and you spray it up and you add Trips's new fancy oils, and it looks really good. Ooh, the
God,
Death
I hope
Leapers.
I'm never on the receiving end of a roast from you, Ben. It's on point.
Oh, I see, Trips. Pre-order for the 23rd of December. Ooh, no Christmas Tyranids for you.
No.
Well, these are all the boxes.
So they pushed the Munda order back to this weekend, and then they've previewed some stuff for this weekend and next weekend.
Will you be getting one of the police cars?
I will not be getting the police car. As someone pointed out, every vehicle in Munda comes with no health and safety warning for the driver, who just gets his head stuck out so as to get shocked at. But there is the made-to-order Blood Bowl in there as well.
Yeah, I mean,
with a warning that it could be up to 180 days before it turns up.
Does it say that?
oh, that is a long time for. It's an interesting one because like cheerleaders and stuff like that, they are really cool models. They're really cool designs, but they are so superfluous in the game in so many ways that the prospect of waiting 6 months for them is it's very low priority. However, the Minotaur is a very popular model because it is a very cool take. And I mean, each of the individual sculpts are really, really good. So if you have got one of these teams and you need a Christmas treat or something like that, then it's actually a pretty fun extra for your team. I do like the referees as well. So I love that they're bringing them back, but it is a very low priority one, I think. And that's going to see us through to Christmas now. And that's it. That's it for Christmas.
Yeah, that's it.
So this is the missing book, is it, Trips?
That's the missing book. Yes,
that belongs with Baby Yoda.
Yeah, belongs in the gap. Ready for it already.
I love it. So on that note, Undead are out on Blood Bowl 3. Was there anything exciting in the patch notes or anything, Trips, other than
no, just fixed a few bugs, sorted out some bits and pieces, and yeah, season 3 is off and running.
Cool. I'm hoping to play some more Blood Bowl 3 at some point, so I'm glad there's an extra team. We must be nearly halfway there now. Anyway, I think we spend a couple of minutes looking at hobby, and then we talk about what we want to see released next year. Okay, hobby time. I've showed off the studio. That's been my hobby, with the exception of that Amazon team that I've been painting. Do you know, I spent some time and I started painting in models. All 16 Amazons. They're all pre-colored. I used the Speed Paint Bone Paint as like the color, and I love the effect it's got. So now I can just paint inside the lines, because that's going to be one of the teams for the Bonehead Championship, and I love the Punga team. So I'm like, yep, this is going to be my little team to paint as I go through the carnage of a newborn. This is going to be my little thing. I'm going to try the Ian Warhammer method and just strap the child to me and ignore it's there, which apparently is optimistic. But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, that's what I've been painting and building a studio. Ben has done some paint. I mean, it's his job, so that's good. But Ben, you have been doing some painting of things. Tell us words.
So brush tide order is still going strong.
Look at it.
Look at the print lines. Yeah, this is one I'm finishing up. the guy that's for has been emailed these, so I'm not giving them away without that. But yeah, so this is the one I'm recently doing. Grebo Chaos Chosen. It's a really cool team, actually. I think if I were to have a Chaos Chosen team, this would be the team I get. Which usually I'm not like super sold on a lot of Grebo stuff, but I think they nailed the Chaos Chosen team.
It's an older meme, but it checks out. It's an older team,
Yeah.
but it checks out.
Yeah. Yeah, especially the revitalized resin stuff. Like these have metal blockers, which I don't know if that's on the actual team. I think it might just be a preference. But yeah, the person wanted them painted in the style of Rain from Mortal Kombat. So I don't know if you guys are familiar, but
yeah,
this is the scheme with like purple cracks through my usual cracked base method.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
that is very cool. I was mostly
so
triggered by the lack of a black edge, but
that's
fine.
what I was going to say. They still need the black rim. That's it's still work in progress. So yeah, I've got one more day on this one, and it'll be done.
It's beautiful. I'm going to segue. You listen to Top, Trapped Under Plastic?
Yeah, not the most recent one that you linked to me, but yes.
No. In one of them I was listening to the other day, John, who is the older one, just flipped out and was like, oh, no, it wasn't. I was watching one of his videos where he was painting up a Necrolord, and the edge, it was like trying to do like the box art, and it was like, except the bases, black bases only. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I love that guy. And he's also the one who's just randomly like, yeah, so I ended up playing Magic the Gathering again. I'm like, I get you. Anyway, no. Apart from the bases, the blending is just outrageous, dude. And the way the gold pops is unnecessary.
My new favorite paint, I'll send the guys before we started filming. It's Dark Star Brass. If you guys haven't tried Dark Star metals, they're like so good. I'm usually an advocate for like Scale 75 or Vallejo Metal Color, but like these are like my new favorite ones. I've used steel for a while. This is like one of my favorite paints. It's a really like dark irony steel, like very iron rich. It's really like dark and muted, but like still shines. But the brass, if you want a vibrant gold.
Where does one get these paints from?
Anywhere, I think I got these from Element Games. But they're made in UK, the UK manufacturer.
That's very cool. I think we'll order some and do some show off.
Yeah, it's one coat job metal, which is always a win. If I need 2 coats, I'm not interested. Yeah.
Yes, I remember doing. I went back the other week because I was feeling very uninspired. And I was looking through some of the fun videos that we've made, and I got to the quick pass one because I had quite a good fun time editing it. And during that, I had a little blip where I was like, right, I need to get some silver, and I picked up like 8 Games Workshop silvers. I was like, no, and I went and got the Vallejo melted crayon color or whatever it was, and it's just amazing. Yeah, but some of them have the consistency of melt. You've got a really tough choice with metallics. It's either like £6 for shiny milk, or just liquid plastic. So that sounds very good. But I mean, where's my mouse? I've lost my mouse. There's the mouse. Click tab. We'll come back to that. The red fade on this is really nice as well.
Yeah, so this is the Grashnak proxy. This is cool.
Love it. There's some really really lovely technique here, and I think we'll move away from it because it's upsetting me.
It's so nice.
If you want to treat yourself over Christmas, Brush Tide is still accepting orders. 10% off for Bonehead podcast listeners. Code Bonehead. 10% off anything, includes commissions. So, hit me up.
Do it. And
brushTide.com.
And as soon as you get a scheduled gap, Ben, like I have too many teams, and I'd be very happy to use the. Do I still get to use the code? We haven't got like corporate rules here, but normally, it's like when you do like a radio competition, it's like employees may not enter. Ow.
Yeah. We'll sort out. Bonehead Championships coming up anyway. There'll be a few teams on that, I think. Hopefully.
Yes, I am super excited for that. Right, other things that I think are just outrageously cool. Trips. I've done a bad job with this photo and made it portrait, not landscape, but talk us through this.
So I think we mentioned this on the last pod, the ability to have like a set of tiles with LEDs and lights running underneath them, and I suddenly realized I had printed a few tiles which would work with LEDs, and a week later I have nearly filled a board with printed lights. I've tested the LEDs under them and they are very nice. I think the orange and red that you suggested, Ben, is going to be the color that I go with underneath them. So I'm slowly churning through the printing, and the lovely big green arrow is the minus sorting out of the last piece of the jigsaw, which was not to size, but managed to just change some size and all sorted. So about another 3 or 4 days of printer generating heat, and I shall have all the tiles ready to be sprayed and washed.
How big is the corkboard? Is that 80 by 60 kind of size?
Yes, yeah.
The Argos special.
The Argos special, yes. And I have two of them, so I shall be able to play different size games on. So
Nice.
coming to our gaming hobby needs next year is our Munda game, and I shall bring proper terrain.
Are they sized for kill team? Like Gallo Dark size, or?
Yes.
I think we said on the pod before, right? I think you found this first, Ben, right? The 80 by 60 Argos corkboard is like, no, it's not 80 by 60, is it? It's the 30 by 22 board. The Argos corkboard is like pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
Was that not Warhammer?
Oh no, it was. Yeah, it was. That was it. Yeah, they are the Games Workshop standard. So
that is so cool. The only reason I asked, Trips, is because you got the holes there, and I'm like, is that magnet hole, or are you going to fill that in, or are you not going to fill that in and have the light?
So they're for the tags, so I can then mount sort of buildings onto them, but be able to pick and choose where the buildings go, but then they won't slide around every time we move a mini.
That is awesome, man. That is some proper hobby.
Bonehead Necromunda campaign coming up.
Absolutely.
I maintain that a little like 500, 600 credit mini gang sesh would be really good fun. And
I think we should do it.
Rules are half written, so they will be finished off. And then I couldn't resist. I had a small hobby purchase as well. The rule book tabs. There's a new set coming out for the new 3 Necromunda books, and as I have 2, and I may have seen the third, having had to pick up my own present from employment, I got they're in the post on the way to me now, so I'm looking forward to getting those. But they're really useful for the Munda books to be able to get through the rules uber quickly.
Do you know, they always say, find a job, find a niche, find a need that will never run out. That's kind of why I ended up in management, because there'll always be people, and when there's not people, you can have a problem. In food retail, because there will always be a need for food. So I'm like, that's a pretty safe environment. That's going to go on for a long time. Probably not as long as the need for more rulebook tabs when Necromunda is concerned.
Absolutely. I literally will have filled an entire Calyx cell with Necromunda rulebooks in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes,
That's pretty good.
It's so good.
I see it rivals your D&D collections. That shows how crazy it's gotten.
Oh, that's the red books in the middle.
It's overtaken the D&D books. That's rare.
That's the downside of Munda. But they did that really good thing where they introduced the 300-page book, all you need, and then immediately dropped 2 more expansions.
Oh yeah, the core rule book is great, and I found it doubles beautifully as something to ensure a hot print stays flat when you take it off, because you've got no patience and you want to start the printer again.
I need to try the double glass method that you suggested, Ben, for resin prints.
What did I suggest? Oh, so the light comes through?
Yeah, and it keeps it flat.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a need to print anything like that at any point soon, but maybe.
The base is useful, yeah.
I found a really lazy boy way of doing bases is I lend mine air dry. Like, I generally speak, I'll clean a print up overnight. I'll keep a print up in the evening. It'll dry overnight, and then natural sunlight in the day just kind of like cures it. But with bases, I put them on one sheet of very cheap Tesco kitchen roll, and then put another sheet on the top. And what that seems to do is diffuse the light evenly, and they end up pretty flat. And then just a bit of a with sandpaper. It is it's good as gold. I've done a load of unnecessary printing for the old world recently, just because I was like, "Oh, the shop's closed. I've got 3 printers here. I'll print things that I've been buying STLs for." Whoops. And it works. Does a really good job. The only
That's
thing.
awesome.
Ooh, wrong way. This way. There we go. That wall is going to be my little hobby project as I'm working through the studio stuff in the next few weeks. That's going to be this big 4-foot wall of cliffs.
That's so good.
It's just a very cool backdrop, and I don't know, there's nothing better than just gluing terrain down, chucking on some spackle, chucking on some filler, chucking on some cheap paint, and just like having it set. So that's going to be my little fun project, because like this bit here, as the table goes, I will have the cliffs, then I will have the stands, then it will be the dice tray and the dugouts, then it will be the pitch as it goes, and that's what I've got the overheads all set up for. So I was like, oh yeah, that's cool, because it just blocks this bottom bit off, and then you got a cool cliff, and then we got Craig and Lewis brought around the Realm of Battle the other day, and we set it all up, and it was just like, it was beautiful. It was completely unnecessary, but it was beautiful. But any more, or shall we take a quick break and then talk about our Christmas wish lists for 2024?
Yeah, let's write Christmas letters.
Okay, so it's Christmas, and it's a good point of the year to kind of think, well, because we've got the retrospective coming up in a few weeks' time when we do the Bonehead Awards. I'm sure by this time there's a thing gone out. Maybe it hasn't gone out. I don't know. Timey-wimey stuff. But we kind of thought what we'd do is we'd have a look and think about what we want to see next year, what things we're excited for, what's on our wish list, basically. So what we said was we'd all come up with 2 or 3 hobby things, Games Workshop, whatever, and then a couple of non-Games Workshop things. They could still be hobby, they could not be hobby or anything. Disclaimer at the beginning, obviously, we want nothing more than for everyone to be happy and well and world peace and stuff like that. But anyway, onwards to the segment. Right, Christmas wish list. Milton has actually shared his wish list with us, so we'll bring that up once we've done our first round of hobby bits. We can have a look at his milk toast. What I want is freedom.
From post bail, I think.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. I mean, it's like he's an NFL player. Anyway, no, that's yeah, no. Sports people. Anyway, onwards to good things that we want for next year. And Trips, we're going to start with you because you are undoubtedly the most prepared person here. So kick us off with a hobby wish list.
Okay, so my hobby wish list actually relates to the hobby that I've got started at the moment. I want to complete my terrain project. And when I say complete, that means not just have the board done, assembled, and with lights. It's with city tiles on it and games having been played on it.
That's a noble goal.
I may need some help with the gaming aspect, but the rest is all on me.
So, I mean, I've done this a couple of times for stuff we've had planned, right? Where there is nothing like more kind of satisfying from a bookending point of view as being like, I'm going to build this thing, and then when we use the thing, once you've used the thing, you can discard it, or maybe never use it again. But like, if you look at some of the pictures we've used, it's kind of like there is just so much joy in building something. You get a bust out of the train stuff. I think it's a brilliant idea. Have you thought about where you're going to store it yet, Trips?
Oh yeah, well the advantage of most of the stuff is it's pretty flat or fold down. Plus I've already found a under the stairs storage space that's not got anything in, and a large plastic box that's empty. So I have both sorted out how to store and found a place to store it that only I can get to.
I'm absolutely wowed that your house has a place untouched by storage. Like I think we filled up every nook in our house the moment we moved in.
And you've had your
Just
loft
basically-
converted.
Yeah.
So Trips, it's not right to judge anybody's wish list. I have to critique something though. You're making this on a corkboard. Corkboards are designed to go on the wall, and you are the LED wall guy. I can't believe your initial reaction was like, I've got a nice spot on the wall for this to go on.
The few little wall spaces I have free in here have other hobby related plans already in motion to fill them up as well.
Oh, wicked. No, absolutely love that. That's a very, very valid one. Very, very valid. So, BT, your first piece on the wish list.
Mine is to do my Conquest army and possibly film some games with it. So we've got well, we're doing the brush side stuff, which I'll come on to and point two, but we're doing that. It's difficult to make time for your own stuff. And that's something that for next year, I really want to make time for. And like my main thing right now for my own hobby is to do my Conquest stuff because I like to play in tournaments and stuff. I did one recently. I just want to have it because sometimes my friends come over like a weekend. We just play a bunch of games. That happened a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, this army, I'm collecting Nords. I just want to have it fully done. And I'm really excited to do it. So
Have you ordered any of the Ulfburner guys?
yeah, they're on order.
They're
yeah,
tall. They are tall boys.
Yeah, everything is huge. I recently did a little speed paint testing some of my trolls. So trolls in this game are infantry, by the way. So I finished one up, tried to do a really speed paint. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up. Yeah, the lighting's a bit rubbish there.
Oh, they're kind of creepy.
Yeah, the lanky
Game of Thrones kind of troll things.
Yes. Yeah, I did like sort of like tundra base. So I'm not gonna use the bases on them. I'm just gonna pin them to the base.
Proper.
So there's 4 of them. Yeah, so 4 of them per base. It's a bit weird. It's like in Conquest, right? Bit of a tangent. They have individual bases and they go in these little movement trays. They look like this. And then as they die, you remove one. It's like 1 wound gone. When they're all gone, take a stand away. But these guys have 6 wounds per stand. So it's a bit weird. So you can't do that anyway. So why bother? I'm just going to glue them to the stand and track it with
6
a dice.
wounds per stand. What? So they've got 1.5 wounds each?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Oh, yeah, then you'll bang on. I mean, I was going to say, like, let's just use a dice, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's my goal is to work on these. I don't know if there's actually a size comparison. Here you go. Here's a 40k orc.
Oh, they are tall boys.
Yeah, and they're infantry. So, yeah, they're big.
Are they the
Yep.
same kind of size as the humans? As I've seen your
No,
seen your crossbowmen before. I'm assuming that they're taller.
Yeah, they're taller. Like this is like a bowman. Oh, there you go.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, Conquest is interesting because they take standardized tropes and they just do something just different, just edgy different.
It's like alternate Earth with aliens. Yeah, it's like the Romans are Romans but undead.
Yeah,
The Greeks are Greeks but steampunk.
I do like that faction. The undead.
Yeah,
the undead Spartans, the undead Romans are very, very, very cool.
Yeah, the Norse's shtick are there. There's Norse mythology, but it's all delusion created by the aliens to basically as an excuse to have them like defend their lands and basically create like a it's kind of to justify their biological experiments, which the Norse believe to be like gifts from gods, but really it's just crazy alien scientists come to Earth, start injecting people with loads of like super drugs and turn them into like werewolves, turn them into giant super soldiers. And the mythology is there just to kind of like keep the peace. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So it's
Oh,
like they think
okay,
they're going
David
to Valhalla
Icke.
when they die. Yeah, like they think they're going to Valhalla, but really they're just going to a lab to do more testing when they die. So, yeah.
So I spend a lot of time programming or just working through data and stuff like that, and I tend to have YouTube on in the background, and that is tangential with a lot of the conspiracy theory stuff that I end up just like watching for
It's so
several
good.
days.
Yeah.
It's like,
And there's a whole region of priests that go around trying to like drill in this delusion, because they're convinced it's real. And like this was like historically, they all got injected by these drugs. Then they got abandoned, and all the super soldiers they had created and half finished got out, and they're kind of like the Primarchs in 40k, where they go and interbreed, and all the strengths that they've been tested on get passed down generation by generation. That's kind of like where the trolls come from. They had like regenerative DNA. So they're just people that have over time just become trolls, and like the beast people, but like their bestial rage got like DNA, and that got turned them into werewolves and things. Yeah, it's crazy. It's
that
really
is-
interesting. It's really deep. Yeah, and it's always evolving. That's why I like the game.
yes, I mean, I watched a little thing where they were talking about the map. I think that was Conquest. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
probably.
Conquest. It was a Conquest thing where they were
Got a
talking
living
about
world
like,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
which I really like. Mantic are doing a similar kind of thing, not quite as extensive, but I think I just think it's a really cool way of getting players involved.
Yeah.
Big fan of that. Cool. 2 very good hobby wish list bits. My hobby wish list will surprise nobody, but it is to finish the stadium setup ready for us to film. So I'll go here. I'll go this way. Maybe I'll go the other way. I'll go the other way. And it's already underway, but we've got the... Oh, God, why is it reversed? This is the start of the Blood Bowl pitch. And I printed these little strippy things, and they are fine. Ooh, that didn't work. There we go. So are any of these? Are they all glued down? They're all glued down. That's good, because that was work. This one is not glued down. This one is not glued down. So all the crosses on a Blood Bowl pitch can be quite antagonistic to potentially do. So I conjured this up and 3D printed it. It's just a little stick of crosses that makes it a lot easier to adhere in a pattern. So I tried this just to try and make it easier for myself, and I'm building the pitch. So the pitch, all the crosses will be glued, then it will be old school PVA and sand over the whole thing. And I've used cork, self-adhesive cork tiles on the top to hopefully stop some of the warping that can happen with PVA, and also so that I could bury things like the trapdoors. Trapdoors, we've
Genius.
got little center spots, and I've got a big Bonehead Podcast logo in the middle that I'll sand around the edges of. So hopefully that'll work out, and that'll be cool. But between that and the mountains, and then it will be the stadium bit, which I've got a stack of not print pictures, but paint the crowds that you guys have all sent in, which is absolutely awesome. So I've got several sections printed off, and they're upstairs in the lab, so I can start building it. And I'm going to cut it into sections, so 12-inch sections, because each of those sections should fit in one of the bottom slots here, which would be good. So I mean, there'll be one spare section. I haven't quite figured out what I want to do with that, because it's 4 foot. The Blood Bowl pitch is 3 foot. There's 4 foot just to spill over the edges. Maybe I'll just do 3 foot of stadium. I wanted to go around the edges. Anyway, it's a minor thing, but that is going to be my hobby wish list, my hobby goal. I'm shooting to do that as quickly as possible, to be honest.
Have you started snipping out the bits yet? How's that going on your pitch?
I have. I glued it on and did one test, because I was like, is this going to work? Yay, I can use the camera properly. All right, good. Yes, you can see.
Ah, yeah.
I love these cameras. Yeah, it's probably going to be a little bit higher than we'd want, but any thinner and the print it didn't print brilliantly. I did some tests, but actually, I don't really care. Like,
I think it'll be all right. Once the sand is on there, once the grass is on there, it's like that'll be perfect.
yeah, it's not gonna be a thing. But the pitch will be there, 3D, all just done, and then we can dial in the cameras and just have it absolutely pucker. And I'm just really excited for that. Mountain into stadium into. I've printed a dice tray that is a 6-inch circle that will fit beautifully. Got dugout, dice tray, dugout. Because it's going to be a circle, I've got the overhead dice cam that will just look down at it, use a circular mask, so it is just the dice tray. 6 inches is plenty of space for 2-3 die blocks, and have it all set up. And because it's like I've done it like it's just like a walled sheep pen thing, it will hopefully just look like a part of the stadium. So it's all that bit's printed. The Dungeon Lab second expansion had some really cool little number, I think for a scatter, like little number tiles. I was like, perfect. That will do beautifully for the dugouts, for the turn trackers and stuff like that. I was like, excellent. Don't have to worry about that. So yeah, that's my hobby wish list, or my hobby goal, I suppose, is definitely just that, because I mean, it's very cool building this place and having it be somewhere that we can just quickly make some really good content. And if we can get it looking really good and dial it in, get the audio bang on, get the visuals bang on, it will be wicked, because it's very cool. Every time I step in here, I'm like, ooh, yay, I have a playhouse. It is very, very, very wicked. So that's my hobby wish list. So
I mean, that's my sorry, I was going to say that's my number. Are we going into number 2 hobby?
I was going to say,
are we going into...
let's go into hobby number 2.
So yeah, that was my second one, was the content creation stuff with Bonehead Podcast. I think I'm really looking forward to doing regular, reliable. I know I talk about it a lot, and I really don't do it with like streaming and stuff like that. It's like I really want to, but setting stuff up is really annoying, and clearing it stuff away and setting it up when I'm just in the zone can be a real interruption. So with what you're doing with the studio and having a permanent space where you can just sort of press a button and go, that would be amazing for doing games. And also with personal thing, having my ghetto docks where I can just press a button and go. I'd love to make that a more regular thing. So that's definitely my number 2.
And I think we both support you strongly in that one, because it's great to watch you paint and stream. And yes, it may not be your most productive painting as you're busy chatting and telling us how to do it, but man, is it inspiring.
I mean,
well, that means
that's a really good question, actually. We were talking about workload management because I am a massive geek. Just beforehand, I find that if I've got half an hour, if I've got a job that's going to take me to do half an hour, I have half an hour to do it, I will do it in half an hour. If I have a half an hour job and I've got 2 hours to do it in, it will take me 2 hours, because I will fill in the gaps with like just watching a stream in the background or doing this, or being like, ooh, quickly, I need to go and try and see if this contrast paint works. Like, I tend to find that I will get distracted by myself, whereas sometimes working on a thing, when it becomes the thing you're doing, like for example a stream, I see that for me being maybe more productive. Because I'm like, I'm going to sit down and actually do this thing now, instead of being like, oh, I'm going to start painting this guy and then I really should reply to that email, and then I should just, I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I mean, how much less productive is a painting stream than actually cracking out some painting for a couple of hours?
I think it can be. There's also the element of, if you're streaming, you're conscious that, like, you're more conscious of what you're doing. And so there's bits where it's like, if I'm painting on my own, I can be quite rapid with things. Not like messy, but like rapid. But if I'm on a stream, I kind of like have to angle it under the camera, make sure it can be seen, make sure it's in focus, look at if there's any chat messages coming out. It's just like, it's so long, whereas before I can just sort of pick up a model, do the thing, pick up a model, do the thing, like right into eyesight. I can move the light wherever it needs to be.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, there's a whole element where it's just making sure everything's like watchable. Yeah,
that's true.
I think that can take a long time.
But on the content thing, especially when it comes to like games and stuff, I mean, I don't think this is going to be very long before this is ready to go. Like, and that's super exciting because it, you know, this was a really good thing about the lads bringing the Realm of Battle over the other day. Something I've optimized the space for a Blood Bowl pitch. I was like, let's just see what a 6x4 Warhammer table looks like in this space, and I'm like, yeah, we can make that work. So we've got the opportunity to do Blood Bowl games that are small like Blood Bowl, Micromunda, that Trips is working on, and actually we can stack up a 6x4 war game. And there's a ton of stuff out there that we're interested in, and I don't think it would hurt for us to just be like, do you know what? Let's just spend a day doing a thing. Because something I've really found recently is it's really interesting to me anyway. It's probably boring, but like, no, I don't want to say burnout, but I've got a lot of stuff going on in my mind, and creating content is something I find really fun to do. But I've had a bit of I called it Sif. I was like, I had a bit of content constipation, really, where I found it difficult to start. Now, this is probably what the worst the worst synonym I could have used. But like, yeah, I don't know how to recover.
It's very evocative.
I'm spiraling. I found it difficult to. Anyway, content wasn't happening as easy as I wanted to. I can't get away from this now, and I was like, right, we've got the printers are switched off. We're waiting for the baby. Like, the whole point is we'll close the store so the baby can arrive. We can have the first 2 weeks, just managing life, and then I can turn the store back on. I'm not at work, so it'll be a good way for us to sort of bleed normality and other stuff back into routine. And because of that, I had these printers going, and I was like, actually, you know what? I'm going to go print some stuff. So I printed some old world stuff. I printed some dwarfs for Trips Micromunda. I printed some spaceships, and I started writing rules for games that I know I'll never finish and never play. But I found that once I'd done that, once I'd just kind of like gone and done that, by that evening, I was sitting down and I was like, that's interesting. Do you know, for the Bonehead Championship, we could have each player have a little mini video so that when they do something, we could bring up their profile. And I was like, that's really cool. And I found myself like more inspired for Blood Bowl again. Not that I wasn't before, but just like actually doing something different can be fantastic. And I think we found this at our club, right? Where we just like, actually, let's do a magic draft. Like completely different. Or, whatever. It's just such a good palate cleanser. And then you come back and you're like, oh, actually, like Blood Bowl's just better. Like Blood Bowl's just amazing. And I really want, this year, I think if I'll bounce on, and one of my hobby things is about games that are not Blood Bowl. Even though my goal this year is to work with you guys as hard as possible to make the best Blood Bowl content we can. The best angles, the best audio, the best live streams. Just really, like, we've got an opportunity to just have a great time making some cool stuff that isn't out there. But part of it will be experimenting with other games, because from a technical aspect, it will be very different to film a 6x4 battle. It'll be very different to film a multi-leveled Necromunda game. And it's that kind of stuff, you try things, you learn things, and you can take that stuff back, and then we can apply it to the content that is our core content. So, the games that, and also the other thing is, I want to harness the passion that you guys have. And also, it's fun to get excited for something new every now and again. Because Blood Bowl, one of its main strengths is that it doesn't get shaken up, except for when there's a new edition. And I love it for that. But it's sometimes fun to get excited about new things, which is why I think I was so excited about Legion Imperialis. Because like, oh my god, hype, new stuff. And then that aged, well, like my like my analogy, really poorly. So yeah, I'm with you on that one massively. I have, however, now lost where we were. I think we went into hobby 2 for you, Ben, right?
Yes.
Trips, have you got a hobby number 2?
I've got a hobby number 2, and hobby number 2 is a thing that I don't want to do with my hobby, except for in a very specific circumstance, and that is I don't want to get a big box of starter box or an expansion box for any of my hobby. I have 1 or 2 on the side already, and plenty to work my way through, and I just want to stay concentrating on the games I'm playing with and not get distracted by new stuff this year. One exception to that is if there is a nice big box of Munda, because they are ridiculously good value.
I was going to say, I thought that buying sealed starter boxes was one of your hobbies. Like, people like coins and stamps, and you were just like, no.
Yeah, so they're very much trying to not do it this year coming. So allow me to focus on the other things I want to focus on without getting massively distracted.
If they drop Battlefleet Gothic as a starter set, would you be interested in that? War Master?
Nope.
Not gonna happen.
Blood Bowl.
Well, I mean, goes without saying that.
So Blood Bowl wouldn't be a big box set; it would be a
That's
medium-sized box
That's
set.
true.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. A big Munda set would be cool. Kill Team, I think we've settled that they're kind of going for the Super Mario Bros. 3 terrain vibe this time round,
Yeah.
so it's kind of fine for now. I look forward to the plastic sun that has multiple heights and spins like this. That'll be good. That'll be good. As it chases you across the sky. Yeah, no, Trips, I think you're safe. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think so, although we are a group that is renowned for helping
Enabling.
our ability to resist things.
true.
What about if they did Warcry in a dungeon and they created a plastic dungeon
Like
set?
Catacombs.
Yeah, but better. Like Kill Team level terrain, but in like a AOS dungeon instead.
See, I think it would have to be unbelievably good. I've got enough of the things I want. I can play the games I want, and
You can print the stuff you don't have.
and I can print the stuff I don't have, and that's more of the hobby challenge. And I think it relates to not getting into another game system.
Space Hulk. If they brought Space Hulk out. No, all right.
I think I
Wow.
wouldn't buy a big box set. I'd probably buy the rule book. But
Look at this
most
carriage growth.
new thing-
Incredible.
I can't wait for next year when Trips is like, well,
Early February.
I'll be there at 9:55 a.m. sweating, going, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
remember, Trips, if you do want any of the new boxes, go with Entoyment.
Absolutely.
Because you'll actually get the stuff that way. No, that is a solid goal. And I mean, you do a really good job, or I think you're working through prepping, priming, building, and putting your teams out on a display. Teams, your war bands and stuff. I think is a really good way of processing through it, because then you got them ready to go.
I'm sort of averaging about 3 display boxes every 6 months, so that's quite nice. It's a quite nice routine, and it also fulfills the need of empty space, which means I can then fill it with other stuff.
I love it. I didn't have any more hobby goals. That was I kind of figured that one. Well, I guess the other thing is just for me is just to go with my creativity, because I'm very aware this year is going to be very different for me. Very, very, very different, and I'm going to need to kind of balance up what I put my time into, and I know how much of a reward I get out of the Blood Bowl stuff. And I know that Games Workshop's going to drop at least one team next year, right? Please. So there's going to be stuff, and what I'd really like is just for us to be ready to go when a team comes out, because I felt like we were quite close with Vampires. I think if Vampires had come out in October, then November, then we could have pushed for the studio to be done and ready to go. So I have no more hobby goals other than that, and just to be chill a little bit and just be like, go with it. And actually, if I want to paint up a little orc army for the old world and try the old world out, go for it. But yeah, that's it for me. Does anyone else have any more hobby ones before we move on to sort of Blood Bowl Games Workshop wish listing?
So
Yeah,
I
they do.
Go on, Ben.
I was going to say the only thing I have is really just to continue brush tie. Like, just I'm adamant to continue this, make it work. It's currently working. It'd be good to do a little like video, I think, on how it's been, like the process I've learned. I think that'd be quite good to do. But I've learned a lot from doing it. But I have every intention to keep it going as long as I physically can. So yeah, that's my main goal for next year.
As you should, man. It's awesome to see you doing it. Yeah, I mean, I can come over and measure the work you do.
Please do.
And we can film the video there. And I give a statistical breakdown of what you do, and then we can help model a more effective way for you to come up with a more accurate financial budget.
And when you get to that point and you get the hobby knife out, I'll make sure Ben leaves so that he leaves in one pile.
Well, I'm a big scalpel that I play with.
Draw blood somehow.
Put in the blood and blood type. Trips, did you have another one? Hobbies?
So I had another little one, and actually it picks up on something that we've all just sort of touched on, and it is the Munda campaign, which I'm working through the logistics of how we can have it as something that's a bit of fun, something that gets us a little break from the normality and gives us a hobby goal, but isn't something that's going to take a whole amount of time to set up or play or prep, but is going to give us hopefully what we've seen a couple of times we've done this year, that sort of hobby cleanse, where, as you were saying, when you did a little bit of something else, all of a sudden it just got the creative juices going. Do some painting for some fun for us and play some games. So yeah, that's the third one, is to finish it off and try and make it get past at least more than one game.
Definitely. Okay, so on to wish lists. What do we want to see coming out of Games Workshop, coming out of Blood Bowl, coming out of games in the next year? So, Trips, have you got a Games Workshop Blood Bowl related wish list piece?
Yes. So a Games Workshop one to start off with is, I would very much want a new Blood Bowl team, but specifically not an existing team of Legend upgraded to a new team, a pure new team.
A brand new addition to the game.
Yes.
I am going to just mimic you on this one. I'm going to double down, because that is exactly what I want to see. I'm desperate to see the Team of Legends come back and have them be rejuvenated, because I really do think Amazons, Norse, and Vampires, the last three that they've done, they're just better. So I love KFC. KFC are renowned for just having worse chips than McDonald's. But recently, they've done this thing where they've seasoned them. They're still KFC chips. The chicken's still great. The gravy's still superb. But it's just better. It's just better now. And that's what Games Workshop have done with the last three Teams of Legend. And I'm very excited to see what they do with the rest of them. But also, Snotlings and Khorne were blooming awesome. They are two of the most fun teams in the game. Nobility and Black Orcs are also such a interesting team to play. Like, they're just interesting. They're just unique challenges. They have unique characteristics. They have a flavour to them. I'm hungry, hence the biscuits. And actually, like, I want a new dish on the menu, because they've done such a good job, unfailingly, with the exception of star players, and I maintain that's only a problem because of the regional special rule. Because, it's like Magic the Gathering. If you bring out a powerful colourless card, you've killed the game, because everybody can take it. If you bring out a card that's just for black mages, well, actually, then you can build around it and you get subsets. That's wicked. That's good. There's a little bit too much availability. But the point is, something new would be really interesting. And obviously, I'm going to say I would love to see Squigs. And I think it doesn't need to be a tier 1 team. They've done 1, 2, 3 great brand new tier 2 teams. I say brand new, obviously a lot of it was built on older Blood Bowl. And tier 3 team that kind of runs like tier 2 in Snotlings, but again, it's all based on older Blood Bowl. But there's so much older Blood Bowl, there's so much fumble Blood Bowl to go out there that actually, blimmin' it, like there's so much design space. I want to see a bit more, and I'm with you completely. A new team, just the delicacy of trying to manage it on the tabletop, figure out what's good at it. It's just absolutely wonderful. I don't care what it is. The team of Treeman, brilliant. The team of Nurgle Rotters, that would be a challenge.
I think that's a really important thing. I think that I don't think anything that came out as a new team, we wouldn't be like, ooh, how's this going to play and what's it going to do in detail? Yes, admittedly, we are in deep and we are drowning with Blood Bowl lore and detail amongst us. But yeah, just a new team to the challenge and the stars and the hang. You could do this with that and all that fun. That remember when Snotlings came out and swarming was, I was like, oh, what's swarming going to be like? And then it was like, oh, hang on, a Snotling and sidestep and a million of them on the pitch. Oh, hang on. Definitely the way to go.
But Ben's munching away. I love the KFC analogy. That's
Yes.
that's special. That is. Yeah.
We've got Ben Abling and Ben Allergies now. I think that's very apt. Yeah, I love that. I really love that, Trips. That's, yeah. BT.
So mine's kind of also similar, but mine's going a step further and being a whole new edition. I would like to see
season 3.
Yeah, I would like to see next year a new season. I don't know if it's too soon, but I would like to. I think the game is in a place right now which it needs a revision. I think there's too many weird things going on in the game that are just a bit messy, and I would like to see cleaned up. I think Blood Bowl as a game is like spectacular. I think it's near perfect as a competitive tabletop game. However, there are bits that are just like, if only that wasn't a thing. Wildly inaccurate, I think, is big. I think it was on Milton's list.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. It's my second point, but I think it's more to do with the first point, is just a real complete revision of the whole star player system. We've talked about it even on this episode, where it's like you have some star players that's like, oh, cool, they do this cool thing, and you'll never take them. Or, cool, they do this cool thing, and it breaks in Chaos Dwarf, whatever. Or like, as soon as another team takes it, it's broken. And now tournaments have to kind of like be like, oh no, we can't allow that. We have to tax that. We have to put this megastar thing. I think it's I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do, but it's something which I think the game is just a little bit like wonky. It's a bit of a speed bump. Like, you've got this awesome game, so well designed, and then it's like star players. You try and explain that to someone who doesn't play the game. They're just like, so you can take them, but can't take them. And some teams take them, and some teams are just broken with them. So why don't you always take them? Well, you do. And yeah, it's just yeah, it's difficult. So that's what I'd like to see. Something that just like wipes the slate clean. Try again. Yeah.
I don't think they need to wipe the slate clean. So, I mean, God, I'm in a really pro work day at the moment. But like with modeling, you model something, then you optimize it. And once you've optimized everything, it's time to rebuild a new model. And that's, I think, where we're getting with Blood Bowl. Like, they built a really good version of the game, and the FAQs are many. Like this is literally video game design now, isn't it? It's like, it's just software packaging. Like, you build a software, you update it, and then at some point the features in it need to be changed. They need to be updated. And I think you're bang on the money there. I think wildly inaccurate. It's not something that can be FAQ'd. The way goblins work as a team, it can't be FAQ'd now, because it would be such a deviation from the rules that it would be kind of like I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I think, obviously, I think Blood Bowl's an A, but star player reshuffling, wildly inaccurate reshuffling, maybe the way stats and skills are generated. The only reason I say that is because, like, random skills being the same value has been changed on Blood Bowl 3, and it's interesting to see what happens in that space when they come around to updating it for tabletop. The good thing is that I don't know. I just yeah. I think I agree with you.
what-
Old world alliance dwarfs. This
Oh
could
yeah,
this
they need to be
like
changed.
this
Yeah.
is you can't FAQ that. Maybe you could. I don't know. Could you? I mean, they change more stuff
Remove-
for 40k, don't they?
Yeah, it's yeah. You
Yeah.
just print out a new list for them
Yeah.
basically.
Remove
But
pages 35 through 43.
yeah. What it's worth to the stars as well is like I think I just prefer the old system of team access where it's like place all these teams. I can see why the keywords work and it does clean things up on the players sheets.
Yeah.
But I just think it's like at that point there are just like elves have access to like 4 dudes, and then if you're chaos you have access to the best and all of the best ones.
All of
Or
the
like
guys.
underworld challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like bombers you could be like plays 4 goblins, not link ogres or whatever, and it's like that's fine, that's probably fine.
And you could FAQ that when a new team came out. Like that would be
Exactly.
a minor FAQ, especially because the
Yeah.
star players all have PDFs available for download. Not all, but most of them do. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like we've updated the bomber card. He can now be taken by swamp goblins or whatever new team they came out with.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny because it's just a change that I don't want to be like a grognard, but like the old CRP days were pretty sweet because you had one page and you had your team, and then you had the star players that were available with all their stats, and it was really cool because then you could be like, oh, Amazons, what team, what stars can I take? I don't know, that's cool. Can I fit her in? Yeah, okay. Amazons and Roxana, and that became a thing. It became a subset, like a sub faction of the team, and it worked. And then you kind of, I don't know, yeah. The only downside is that they tended to be a little cookie cutter, but I think that's more to do with just how established the game was at that point. There was like, oh, Amazons, I'm assuming you're taking all guard, all block, and Roxana. Yeah, cool. But then again, is Hack Phlegm any different? Is Bomber Spam any different?
Well,
No.
but then for hack flame, you could just be like remove underworld or something. Like you could just do things. Or like it'll be easier to balance for tournaments instead of blanket banning stars.
Yes, no, I agree with you.
Like this
I
team
agree.
can't take this star.
Yeah.
It's like cleaner to do.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Oh, chaps, those are some very, 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 very good ones. On my Blood Bowl specific wish list, it's really hard. And this is why it's on the wish list and not like a prediction list. I would love to see another Death Zone. Because Death Zone,
Yeah.
my favourite Blood Bowl thing they've done. It was just full of rules and special stuff that was just... It reminded me of the 90s, where you bought a boxed game and it had stuff. And then they just produced this book, the compendium, or the green book for Necromunda. Do you remember, Trips? With all like and it was just like, here's the game, but here's just more of the game. And it was really, really, really cool. And Death Zone, I think, was brilliant. It had everything in it. There's so much out there. Like, Trips, you found the compendium this week from 1997?
Yes, I think so. 97, 98.
And it just had a ton of stuff in it. And I just want...
Not quite before I was born. Close.
Oh, Blood Bowl compendium. That is just wonderful. But, I mean, there's a ton of stuff they can do for Blood Bowl. I mean, God, we'll help. Like, it's no problem. Like, it's just more. And I think the really good thing is that Death Zone didn't hurt the game in any way. It was a non-competitive expansion that was just for people who like to play the game.
I mean, it's similar to what we do, right? Like on the podcast, it's like what we're all about. It's just like new ways to just kind of break, but just have fun with the game. Yeah. And stuff like Death Zone just inspires that kind of creativity of having just like a wealth of new options. You don't even have to use it, but as long as it triggers an idea in your mind.
That's it. That goes back to my theory of wargaming being the opportunity to play a game rather than the actual joy of playing a game. But I mean, that would be wicked. I just love that. I know that they've done Dungeon Bowl, and I know that they've done Sevens, and I know that they can't do Street Bowl because they've gone Gutter Bowl instead. So there's not a huge amount of places to go that they can resurrect. But that's why I would like another Death Zone, is because I mean, I can make up my own stuff for Blood Bowl, but I don't get paid to do it. So it would be cool to see what people who are paid to come up with new stuff for Blood Bowl could come up with. I'm like,
well, if it's anything like the people who are paid to run their tournaments, I guess we'll see.
yeah, and I think a bit of track history, like the dev team for Blood Bowl, even though the copy and pasting and stuff they struggle with across Games Workshop everywhere, but the spirit of the game is wonderful. Like everything they are doing, I think is just like all the team development they brought out has just been really good. Star players are their own problem, but the teams and the ways to play the game have been a very good experience. And I just want more stuff. And Death Zone's a perfect example because they can just chuck a whole bunch of stuff in there that they don't even need to make models for. They don't even need to do stuff for. It's just like, here's some other fun stuff to inspire people to play Blood Bowl. And that would be my Blood Bowl wish list, on top of getting rid of wildly inaccurate fixing stars and bringing out more teams.
The cosmetic DLC of Blood Bowl.
Yeah, give me some Warpstone.
Yeah. And ironically, I had that on my list, but not as Death Zone. I had it as bring out a companion with all the like alternative rules, and I particularly wanted to see something around like the old draft rules, which were the crash rules in here, or rules around sort of eternal teams and how you keep them going, or like a proper Chaos Cup and how that would work. So a tournament that is a pure tournament but doesn't have resurrection in and that kind of thing. Just something that you go, I'm going to read that again because it's just got you creatively going, but it hasn't broken your league. It hasn't broken the tournament you're going to, but has just given a real bit of flavour that you're like, ooh, I want to see how that works.
And it's cool to see the correlation here. Like we just want new experiences in and on the table. That's why we love the idea of new teams and new ways to play, is because it just creates new challenges and new puzzles within the same space. It's like having a different Wordle every day. Like the game is the same, but what's happening is different. I love that. Yeah, absolutely love that. Right, anybody else have any Games Workshop wish lists pieces?
No more Games Workshop ones other than what we've already covered. What did Milton say?
Good point. Let's have a look.
Yeah, pretty much the same things as us. New team release.
Yep.
He said the Themes of Legend to be revitalized. The Chore styles and one for like Slan official rules wise, which I think is pretty aligned with what we want.
Yep.
Changes to passing while the Acronym bye-bye, clearly aligned.
Yeah.
He's also said, not really a Games Workshop release, he wants to learn how to play an elf team without getting totally splattered.
Well, we can give him a new star at some point that stabs things. I think he might like that.
I wouldn't be much help after the World Cup. I did get totally splattered, so
running elves. So Games Workshop wish list. Anything for you, Trips?
So nothing else on the Games Workshop wish list there.
I will jump in, and my wish would be that they closed the gap between preview and release in everything. And I mean, it's just a bit deflating. Like, I want to get excited by something because this year they'll bring back something. It's what they're doing, right? Every year they go back and revisit something. Next year could be the old world. Obviously that's been pushed back already. Now it's in January. And, you know, if they bring back a Battlefleet Gothic or Man of War or War Master, I would like it to come out while I'm still excited by it. Because I do not mind jumping in. I was excited. And I think, you know, Cursed City burned. And Legions Imperialis has been similar for me. Like, because I was excited. I was like, this is epic. This is cool. This is something new.
Literally,
Like,
yeah.
let's get on board with this new thing. That could be really cool to explore a new format. And then it didn't drop for 5 months. And then people go and buy it. And it's like, that is a really great way to just deflate a situation. So my wish list is what they're doing with all their products, generally speaking, is really good, really cool, really good. None of it's perfect because that's not how the world is anymore. That there is no perfect product. It's just not possible. The only thing you can do it is by doing what Simon does and Kickstarter something and make people wait 18 months for it to turn up, whatever. Like, but that's not how Games Workshop work. They'd rather produce an 80, 90% product and have it. And I'm fine with that because I can make it special myself with base bits or printing alternates and stuff. That's fine. I'm happy. Like, but I don't know. I want to be excited. So if we get a retro game come out this year, or we get the Age of Sigmar version of kill murder, you know, I want it to land, and I want to be able to pay my money before I've had 30 sleep tests, because very little passes the 30 sleep tests. And it's like, I want to be excited. I want this to be like, oh my God, like in 2 weeks' time, this is coming out. Wonder what it's going to be about. Wonder what it's going to be about. Let's buy it. Let's find out what it's about. Oh, this is what it's about. Not wonder what it's going to be about. Wait a little while, find out everything, and then you still can't buy it. And it's like, well, and then when it finally comes out, you're like, well, completed it in my soul.
Yeah.
Or I found something to print that took the edge off. That's not
So
fun.
you, in short, you want GW to be a little bit more predatory in their marketing to try and capture you.
I want to feel excited, and I want
Yeah,
it. I
no, I
want.
think
I want to experience that excitement because
I totally agree.
I don't know. It's just that's how things used to be, and you always, I'm getting old now, but there's just something so exciting about being excited by a thing, ordering the thing, having it arrive, and still being excited by it. And at the moment, because of everything that's going on, it's very difficult to be excited about something when you can't order it or can't get it, and that is
It's
just
entirely. It's mostly for their sake as well. Like, I mean,
yes.
they're losing out. Like they preview stuff, and suddenly everyone's just like, "Oh well, I've already 3D printed all of that now."
I literally
But
like
they
I
wanna
was like,
if they want to compete with it, they've got to release these stuff.
yeah, this is it. Like I got Legions Imperialis out of my system by printing 20 Lehman Russes and 100 Little Men, and then I was like, nah,
Yeah,
meh, move on.
I don't really need this. Yeah,
Kind of, yeah. Actually, it would be really fun to be able to be like, oh, we're all going to go in on this game. Like it's that sense of community, where that's the fun bit, and it's just that's the only thing they're missing. So that's my last Games Workshop wish listing. Trips. I feel like you've got a bit of wish list that's not Games Workshop.
So I've got a definite Blood Bowl related, but not Games Workshop. I really want decent league rules and admin tools in Blood Bowl 3.
That is the best. The best. I agree. And I could not agree more. Like this year, we've got to assume it's going to come at some point this year, and it doesn't land till summer. Like, it would be amazing to actually finally have a Bonehead Podcast Blood Bowl 3 league. We could stream games. We could have a cup. We could even 3D print a trophy and send it to them. Ben can paint it. I can print it. And it's just like, we can do a thing. Build a thing that matters to a small amount of people, but it still matters. And that would be epic, Trips. That is the thing that's, apart from Brush Tide succeeding, that's the thing that's winning the day. Yeah. For me, that is a brilliant one. Any idea when it's coming?
No idea at all. We haven't had an update on it for a while now, so that means it's not coming soon. It would be the reason to really play a lot and to get a player base. And there's a real call from the community for it. And I think there's a lot of people who would love to see it and play it and have that great debate of, oh, my team have done this and they've been wrecked and that player's going to miss the key game. And
Yeah,
That's
I think it's much required.
the story element of Blood Bowl is just so good, and at the moment we don't really have a way to enjoy it particularly well. And that would massively help with Blood Bowl 3. Yeah, love that. BT, any more wishes?
Yeah, I think I don't know how much you want to touch on it. I've put it down, development or evolution for the NAF.
Ooh, what do you mean?
Ooh.
Just that I think it's been archaic for a decade now, and it's kind of partly with the website and the way like all those tierings are handled. But I just want to see something that's like just a bit more exciting, especially being a younger person in the game and being nearly 30. That's saying something. But like to engage with just to engage with the whole tournament scene. I love it. I love talking to people. I love seeing people at tournaments, and I love playing with them. And I think it's kind of a shame that the system that we have to engage and get excited with it is like an old text-based, well, to like it's just an HTML website, or Talk Fantasy Football, which is just an old forum. It's like it's just I want to see snazzy new stuff like tour play. I want stuff to be quick. I want rankings to be like on an app. I want people to just like bring these up in a nice interface. I want people to have things which encourage them to challenge and to like overtake people and have this just so much easier to interact with than it currently feels like emailing your dad. Yeah, it's just yeah.
All right, that beats my KFC analogy. Ooh. I don't know if the Lamp of Wishes can do that much. Like we're generally speaking, we're pretty pro NAF because people out there enjoy it.
I love that they keep this tournament scene going. The World Cup was immense. I love that that's a possibility. Like I don't want to see that. It's not like I want to see like NAF be gone. I really appreciate how much it does for the community. I just want to see some bits modernized, man. I know it takes time, effort, and money, but the community's great and huge. And I think branching out, reaching out, like a tour play can do it. Yeah.
Now, I know that this is potentially one of your favourite things and favourite words, Ben, but is this something where privatization will help? It's not healthcare.
Is that bait? Or incorporate the now?
No. But I mean, the NAF is able to stand static in many ways because that's what most people want. Because it's pretty good. Like, I mean, you and I just have this discussion many times, Ben, around like, well, we got it to an 8 out of 10. That's good enough for now. I don't think it's an 8 out of 10. I think it's a 6.5 because of that element. And I think that leaves that little bit of like Games Workshop, for the most part, their releases probably about 8, 9 out of 10 on average. Like, this is what I mean. Like, you give me an 8 out of 10. If I want it to be a 9, I'll put in the effort. Otherwise, 8 out of 10 is cool. 8 out of 10 is perfectly good. 6 out of 10, where you are left with obvious things where it's just like, wouldn't it be better if it's just better? Like, it's just a shame it's not better. Like, I don't understand why it's not better. It's really difficult. And I wonder, and I'm not proposing this in any way, shape, or form because I don't know, the NAF does a great job of centralizing the results in a superb. It's not a superb way, though, is it?
No, that's the issue.
But I wonder if it's because it's the only one. There's no competition, therefore there's no requisite. And I wonder if we're at that static point because the 6 out of 10 that it is now used to be a 9 out of 10 20 years ago. And it's just the 10 got bigger, and because it was the only one, and it is still the only one really, with the exception of tour play kind of nuzzling in, there's no need. and it's always going to be challenging with the NAF because there's so much history. But I don't know what the future of Blood Bowl is going to look like, because we are something that's been really prevalent in this edition is the percentage of new players that are coming into the game from Games Workshop. Historically, people came into the game through their wargaming club into the NAF, and that was how they got introduced to Blood Bowl. Now we've seen it constantly at so many of our tournaments. This is my first tournament. I went to my local Games Workshop, my local store. I picked up some Blood Bowl, and then you're like, "You a member of the NAF?" And they're like, "What? Who's why? Who? I don't really understand." And I support the NAF because our players enjoy collecting the stats.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for me. It's like that's great. Like, so we have NAF sanctioned tournaments because we don't want our players to miss out on something that they like.
Yeah.
But I wonder if, because there's only one and it does a good enough job of doing the thing that it's always done for the people who've always wanted it, the people who are joining it now see the opportunity for more or different. And I wonder if the game continues to grow, whether there will be some kind of power play for it. Not power play, this is ridiculous, because it's just stats tracking. But something else that we've got the red of the NAF. Will we see a blue version from somebody else? Not necessarily of the NAF, but of the way that games are run, rankings are run. But I'll pick that up in my next bit of wish listing, Ben, because it's interesting. It's an interesting one. Any thoughts on that one, Tribs?
I agree with Ben. I'd like to see the NAF evolve in terms of the detail. I think the NAF have done a really good job of that period where Games Workshop didn't support the game, keeping the game going, and because of that, we've got a really strong tournament scene. I just feel that that what they're doing just could be so much better. And it could be then the thing that you talk about, because people want to know the stats and the detail. By nature of the player base, everyone wants to know a bit more. So they want to know, how many times have I played and lost to a Snotling team? How many times have I whooped a Corn team and what's happened? People want to know that information and be able to get it in a form, but without the barriers that seem to be there.
It would be so cool to have a coach page that you could just load up, like on an app on your phone. You, by default, it's yours. You could look up anyone else's, and it has like a little breakdown, little pie charts, nice infographics of like your win rates and certain teams. You could filter all these things just to have it, just a really nice, clean, modern interface to interact with this stuff. Rankings per region, by country, by worldwide, by race, all of that. It already exists on the NAF. All this data exists. But it would be nice to not have it in a default HTML table, because that's not exciting or easy to navigate to, or even mobile friendly. So,
something that Milton raised, or we were talking about the other day, is about like one of the issues that we have with all the NAF data is there's so much legacy there that it becomes a real emotional. It becomes emotional and digital baggage. And
the beauty of databases is that the front end doesn't have to change. They can have both. They can have an API for all this data, and it can be accessed by any UI that can visualize it in any. It's just visualization of data. That's really all I'm asking for, which I know is a big ask, considering like my job was data visualization essentially, and it's not easy, but it's
the difficulty is that there's no money in it. That's my point.
No, exactly. That's not cheap.
The NAF is an incredible organization in a lot of ways, because people who do it beyond for free. Like, they do it because then it costs them money. It costs people money to run tournaments. It costs people time to run tournaments, and it's the same with all the website stuff. I'm very sure that the majority of the website and database stuff is all done on a volunteer basis. And it's just I don't know if we'll ever see that at the point where it will generate enough money to actually be any different. And also,
Crowdfund it.
oh, well,
That's an option.
that's not a
Run a
terrible
crowdfunding
idea.
campaign. I mean, I know it's risky with software, and it's always I can foresee it already of people crowdfunding it, and then a year later, they sort of just like a rug pull on it. I can foresee that happening because that happens with software all the time with crowdfunding. But like, I don't know, the community's strong. I don't know if they'd allow that to happen. I think it could work. I don't know, and I think people would be willing to chuck in like, hey, £10 to make a new nav interface, £5 new nav interface instead of your monthly membership. Instead of dice, we're going to put it towards a new website.
Yeah,
interesting.
Or yearly membership.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bum off that idea, and my wish list is kind of it is Games Workshop-y, but it is hugely linked to competitive play. I love leagues, and my first wish was for them to bring out a whole bunch of stuff for leagues to have a great time. My second wish is, and this is not likely to happen, and I know that it's going to upset a lot of people just even mentioning it. I want to see official Games Workshop something. Official Games Workshop competitive play for Blood Bowl. And I know, Ben, I know. But my point is, I want it to be properly done. Like, I want it to be done. And this is something that I've always wanted in Blood Bowl, which is, the Magic the Pro Tour, but for Blood Bowl. With coverage, with well-run rounds, with something that matters above and beyond the tournament win. And I would love for Games Workshop to take that stance, because it will generate interest and purchases for their teams, and just that ambience of not a competitive environment, because you can't really min-max Blood Bowl that much. Like, you can min-max your Underworld team with Hackflem, and you can still lose, because you can get hit by a rock in the first play or sent off by the referee, and then you are SOL. Like, and that's great. Like, I love it. But the story, the competitive story, is something that I have found that I love potentially more than anything, and that's probably like the game mechanics and everything's wicked, but Blood Bowl is invested. The lore is competitive story. The NFL, the XFL, there is a competitive story. Flipping BattleBots, there is a competitive story where you get things get character, players get character, people get character, and you get behind stuff. And I would just absolutely love to see Games Workshop do that, or work in concert with someone to achieve that, just because it would be amazing. And
why would they have to do it?
Oh, I think this is, well, it's because of the officialness of it. Like,
what makes it official?
So the actual Blood Bowl champion would like the actual. Like,
yeah, but why does it, just because it comes from Games Workshop? Why does that make it official? Surely it could come from anywhere and they become the official champion.
Well, no, because
if it's the most popular one,
you can't. That doesn't. No, that would be like someone running a tournament somewhere and being like, "This person is the official Bonehead Podcast champion."
So would
we haven't even run the tournament. We didn't even know it.
So if someone ran a Games Workshop one and they became the champion, are they more official than, let's say, like the champion of the NAF champs?
Yes.
I disagree. I hard disagree. Because I think
No. I'm not saying whether they're better, but official.
No, not better.
Yes.
No, I'd say the NAF one is more official than the Games Workshop one. I 100% would say that.
That is just wrong. Like, it's actually just wrong.
I genuinely think, in terms of Blood Bowl player base, where most interest, like the NFL equivalent,
the Games Workshop champion cannot be.
Yeah, but they're the Games Workshop champion, but I'd say they're less official than a NAF champion.
Yeah.
I don't think official is the right term. Validated, legitimate, valued, 100%. NAFC is premier. Yeah. But it's not the Games Workshop owned and sponsored thing. And I tell you why. And like, the NAFC is great, but there's no coverage, there's no interest. If you're not going, there's very little interest.
Mm.
That's the difference. I want spectacle. I want people who don't play Blood Bowl, who aren't at that day, to be interested by it. And that's the thing that we don't have in Blood Bowl.
But I'm thinking of like 40k as an example. If someone won like LVO, I think that's a much bigger deal than someone winning some Games Workshop one they ran. I can't even remember anything.
But my point is, if you weren't at LVO, you wouldn't know anything about it. You wouldn't know what list they were. You wouldn't know who they were.
I think it gets a lot of coverage. I think it's a lot of coverage, or like Adepticon and stuff like that.
Not as much as if Games Workshop themselves were doing it, because then, and this
really
is
don't think so.
Oh,
I think Games Workshop drops the ball so often.
So
definitely,
so it's an interesting one here. I think because the NAF tournaments and the big tournaments are so well established, they are the top tournaments in detail. And I think it would be great if there was an official, and I think official is probably the best word, Games Workshop tournament schedule and rule set and detail. But the NAF tournaments have a history. They have a sense of a thing and that detail. And you could have that with an official set of tournaments details, but it would have to start somewhere, because at the moment their days they're running are not smooth in detail, and there's not that rule set. So it would take time for to sort of evolve into those huge tournaments.
There's the gravitas and the legitimacy of the NAF tournaments is unquestionable. Like, it is literally the best Blood Bowlers will play in the FC, and that's wicked. My point is that this is a spot, like a flare to draw people in. Like,
I think it's arguing more on the coverage point of view. Like, if let's say,
yeah, probably is, but
like I think it's like if there was a large platform that would cover like one of these tournaments, I think that would do it. That's all it requires. I think where I'm hesitant on it is where it's Games Workshop. One of the reasons I see it as arguably less valid is because it suddenly becomes this like corporate stamp of approval that kind of dilutes a lot of the excitement and gravitas of it. I find it's like, it feels so faceless, whereas the community atmosphere of these events, like community ones, just feels so much more. And I feel if there's coverage of a community event that was followed by enough people and had enough reach that people would really engage with it, that would feel so much more to me than Games Workshop being as like, we don't really care about the game, but we're going to do something because it's going to bring us money.
I sort of, and I'm straight up, like, I am completely and utterly coloured by growing up in a period where the Pro Tour for Magic was a career goal for a lot of people, because it was like the dream. It was like, I want to do this for a living. Like, I want to be a professional Magic player. I want the actual, like, Magic tournament. I want to be in the Magic tournament with the coverage. And I guess for me, I want to see that for Blood Bowl, just because I want that gravitas and that official, like, just that it is technically a corporate, so it's run by the marketing team in Magic, which is why it went horribly wrong for the last 5 years. But before then, it was just this real something special. And indie events, I mean, God, we love them, right? But there is no money, because I'm not, Blood Bowl shouldn't necessarily be about the profit, but you don't get professional stuff. You don't without having professional money. Like, tournaments are great. They're great fun. The people who go to them have a great time. That is wicked. Corporations, where they have a marketing budget, could then pay and therefore use the loss of money to fund something that no one else could potentially fund. And I think that's what I want someone to be like, right, we are going to write off 12 grand for this tournament so that we can staff it with camera crew, people to host it, marketing before and after, and trophies and cool gear. Like, I would love to see Games Workshop do that, because they are the only people that can write that check with any semblance of a return of investment expected.
good if they could do that in a similar way to, and I can't believe I'm going to do this. I'm going to praise Blood Bowl 3 for their end of season tournament where you've had to win something to get in, you've had to have the top races or something. If they had a series of tournaments or ones that were officially sponsored, like they've had for 40k and the other games this year, where you sort of get the golden ticket to
Yeah.
the finals, and then that was the big coverage thing. That would be amazing. I think though that something like the World Cup, there is going to be nothing else like the World Cup for years. It would take years to build up a player base and a history and a event feel what we got, and this is clearly third hand because we
Yeah.
it was one of us was at the World Cup and having fun and reporting back, but that was such an impression of what was good about a massive non-official tournament.
So what I hear that, and with like the funding stuff you were saying, Ben, I just bringing up here what happened with StarCraft 2. Here's a good example. So there was the World Champion Series, the WCS, which I think was the biggest thing, and that was sanctioned by Blizzard. So Blizzard ran that for StarCraft. But then as soon as they stopped caring about StarCraft, they just ditched it. And someone else comes in, and now it's the ESL Pro Tour. It's run by a games company called ESL. And this is still like a massive deal, especially in like South Korea and things. But it's like why I don't like the fact when like companies get involved is as soon as it stops becoming like their thing they care about anymore, they just don't care. They just drop it. And like if this was run like a bigger thing by someone else to begin with, it would just kind of keep growing and growing. It's like the thing that they're focused on doing. But running a tournament series is not something the Games Workshop care about. It's not something they would want to care about. It doesn't bring them immediate revenue. And I can kind of get that. Like from a company point of view, it's not super profitable, I can imagine. Or it's especially like, it might be long-term profitable, but short-term games.
Yeah,
it's
an obvious marketing cost. And that's kind of my angle. That's why. Because, I mean, crikey, this is everything that I'd want to do. We've streamed some tournaments. And it was not really worth the effort. And I don't mean that from a money point of view, but we got more views just us three hanging out playing a game for 4 hours, and that people enjoyed that. And then some people enjoyed the tournaments, but there was nothing. People weren't that fussed by it, which is really interesting because we did it several times to try it because I wanted to do it because I was like, we can do this, and it's just there's like something about it being on the main channel that is just quite cool. And that's why it's a wish list, is because I'm 100% aware that this will probably never happen, and if it does, it will be lackluster and covered in 2 Warhammer community articles across the entire year.
True.
And that is a shame. And that is why we are running our tournament series next year, to add a bit more of that gravitas. And by the point this has come out, I'm hoping Entoyment have agreed all the other dates so that I'll put out a little video on the feed and everything so that we can confirm it, because there is something to a season. And there's something to a season. And like you said, Ben, like if we want to do something cool, the Games Workshop are probably just not that well invested to do it. And actually, we can still get so much of that feeling and so much of that vibe without having to wait for the corporation to do it. And I work in a corporation, and you've got that return of investment just simply because you have to be wise with a corporation, because otherwise people lose jobs. And actually, that's why Blood Bowl, I think, has grown and been so strong, is because there's a big enough player base for solos and third parties to make a living. Group fun. All those guys to do stuff and make a living. But there's not enough money for 1,000 people corporation, potentially. And it's an interesting one. Anyway, that was my wish list, and it will always forever be a wish list, is a pro tour for Blood Bowl, in the same way that Wizards do it. I'm aware we're running a bit long, guys, so but it's always nice to chat.
That could have been a whole debate episode, that one.
We might have to do that.
I already have.
Potentially. Any more on the wish list?
I think that's it.
That's covered mine.
I do just, yeah. I do want to find a way. This is my last 3-minute ramble. I do want to find a way to get Blood Bowl a bit more mainstream. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it can be done. And I think it's doing brilliantly when it comes to growth at the moment. Whether it's Blood Bowl 2, Blood Bowl 3 was not the promised one. But I don't know. I don't know, trips. Like there is just something about being part of this community that makes you just want to bring more people in to experience it. And I think, BT with his trip to the World Cup and just how bitten by the tournament bug he is a really good indicator.
But I think there's a number of things that we've talked about there that if some of those come off, they would all, as a combination, they would enable it. If the game, the computer game version of it works, that will bring more people in. If there are more teams, that will bring people in.
I think they kind of missed the boat on that one. I think the launch of the game, what's the time?
This is what we were just saying. Is just
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Is that whole the community that we've got in Blood Bowl is so varied and so rich and so deep. You just want to bring more people in, just because why would you not? You love it. It's wicked. Come on, it's a great game. People are great. It's so creative. It's so competitive. It's really good. And you want to spread it. You want to get more people in. And I think of all the games that are out there, like tabletop games, it doesn't have the spectacle of 40k or not Sigmar, but 40k. It doesn't have the spectacle, but it's just a better game in every single way. And it's this is just the truth. This is the truth. This is the wargaming truth. And you, more than any other game, you get board gamers, you get video gamers, you get war gamers, all playing it. And I don't know, I want to spread the word.
Do you know what I think the barrier is? We're running over, I'll touch on this briefly. I think it's sports. I think the reason why people don't get into Blood Bowl is because it's sports.
But what's the most exciting thing about sports, Ben?
Is that one?
It's the story. It's Brock Purdy coming in as the backup.
It's nerds are talking about. They don't care about the Brock Nerdy or whatever his name is. They care about...
But they do care about the story. They do care about the story.
They want to know about how Johnny Laz took down the Emperor himself. They want to know about fake stories. They don't care about sports. I think that's the barrier for a lot of people. I was that barrier. It was only until I played the game where I realized how sick it is. I think for me, a lot of friends, I'm just do you want to play Blood Bowl? And they're just I don't really like football.
Challenge accepted.
I think if it had guns, I think more people play
it. We need Barak Farblast. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Right. Ben, did you have Milton's little wish list? Was there anything else on there that we've not spoken about?
He had some hobby ones.
He had some good hobby ones.
He said he wanted to learn and apply more basing techniques rather than my often vanilla grey or brown. That's pretty good. My tip for that is just add height. Add bits of cork, vary the height, and you're fine. There you go. Yep. If you want to make your basing more interesting,
how much height do you need?
As much as you like. Yeah, just add height variations. That tends to be good. He also utilize my airbrush for more interesting effects like underspray. I think that's pretty cool.
I think he's gonna try that for one of the Bonehead Championship teams.
Marco Frassoni, not just Mecca, really good for that. And paint at least one mini or star player to a much higher standard, which I think is respectable. Spend more time on a model.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping to actually paint my Amazons and paint them as opposed to get them ready. That's a valid one. Right, that was wonderful, guys. Thank you. Sorry, I said to Tiff, I was like, this would probably be a pretty good one. But do you know what? It's just nice to chat with you all, and everybody out there, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I think we agreed the schedule would be pushed back a week in January. So you might have an extra week in between episodes, but Games Workshop will release loads of stuff between them, so there'll be plenty of things on the feed.
I think we agreed that we push it back, and also there is the impending new child in family, which is no doubt to either speed up, slow down, or make podcasts a whole new set of topic questions.
True.
Yeah, the timeline is getting ropey on this one. Tiff's like, I can't believe it. Like, she's not here yet. And I was like, yes, but remember, like, it can be like the morning and then the evening you have a child. I was like, so it's okay. Like, just because it feels like it's going long, we've still got 2 days to the due date, and it can take less than half a day for the child to get here. So she's not late until she's actually late. Because that really upsets me as a human being when someone tells you off for doing something when you haven't done it yet. I'm like, well, I'm not late yet. It's just Tiff's like, oh, don't forget to do this, and I'm like, it needs to be done by Tuesday. It's not Tuesday yet. I'm not. Wait till, you know, yeah. So she's going to turn up when she's good and ready, and
Well, best of luck.
thank you very much. Very exciting. Right, guys, time to wrap up. Thank you very much, and we'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel even further, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. Or come join us on YouTube Members or in Patreon, where you can get exclusive access to some content, some loot, early access to basically everything we do, as well as regular competitions. Or you can pick up some Bonehead Podcast loot either on our website at boneheadpodcast.com. We've got the Dungeon Bowl things, we've got tokens and stuff like that, or on our Spreadshirt site as well. Everything you do just helps us make more content and hopefully do it of better quality. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Happy blocking.